Hello, in this video we're going to look at how to graph with Desmos, which is an online graphing calculator. And so what you'll want to do is go to desmos.com, which you can see up here in the URL address bar. And then once you're there, go ahead and click on Start Graphing right here toward the top. And that's going to give you a column over here on the left where you can input the graphs that you want to display, and then also the graph over here on the right. Notice a couple of things about the interface here. You have a little wrench, which is your graph settings. So that's going to allow you to do things like change the X and Y So over here, you notice that you have the graph settings symbol, which is a little wrench, and that's going to allow you to change what you see on both the X and the Y axis. And this is something you really want to pay attention to, because if you don't have the right settings for your X and your Y axis, your graph may not appear or may appear in a very strange way. So that's one thing to notice. Another here is the plus or minus buttons, which are just your zoom in and your zoom out buttons. So depending on what graph that you use, you will potentially want to zoom in and zoom out. So let's go ahead and say we wanted to graph the equation y equals 2/3 x plus 4. Now notice that when I typed 2/3 right here, it automatically created a fraction for me. And so let me go back and show you this one more time so you can see what I did. I did 2 divided by 3. It creates the fraction. And now if I want to move away from the fraction, I just have to click with my mouse over here so that the x goes on the right side of the 2/3. If I don't use my mouse, then what's going to happen is going to end up looking like this with x in the denominator, which is a very different graph, as you can see on the right side. So make sure that you click using your mouse or using the arrow button to move out of the fraction, and then go ahead and hit plus 4. So there's our equation, y is equal to 2/3 x plus 4. And you can see the graph is pretty straightforward. You can see it without much of a problem. If I couldn't see it, let's say it was y equals 2/3 x plus, let's say 15, then you'll see that the graph is not completely visible. So here you could zoom out a little bit till you could see the entire line. Another way to do this would be to go to the settings here and use the information that you have about the function in order to set the x and y values correctly. So in this case, because I know that the y-intercept is 15, I know that my y-axis has to go at least up to 15, and right now you can see it's only going to 10. So I can say, let's change that to, let's say, something bigger than 15, let's say 20, and then I could look at this and see if that picture makes sense. I can use my mouse to click and drag and kind of move things around if I want to, so that kind of helps as well. Another way to do this, let's clear this, another way to do this is to use function notation. So if I did f of x, let's use the arrow key to move over there, is equal to 2/3 arrow over x plus 4. Okay, so there's my picture. Let's put it in the middle here. With the function notation, what that allows me to do is to evaluate this function at any point on the graph. So I know that when x is 0, y is going to be 4. So I can say, take the function and evaluate it at 0, and then it gives me the value of f of 0. And of course, I can change that to any number I want, like 1, and it's going to give me the value of the function evaluated at x equal 1. Another thing we can do is up here in this little edit list, we can actually enter in a table, so we can look at the table settings. So if I did that, you can see what happens to different values of x in the table and how that affects the value of y. And you can even change these values in the table to numbers that you want to know about. So if I change that 2 to a 4, it automatically changes the value over here in the right side column. So that gives you a little bit of information about how to do some basic graphing in Desmos. One more thing to be aware of, you can actually create an account and then save all of these graphs for later, give them titles and change the names of the titles of the graphs. And then that way, when you sign in, you can go back and grab all the graphs that you've used in the past. And so you don't have to recreate them. So you might want to create an account. It's free. And then sign in whenever you need to go back and find your old graphs.